And please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the stars of the final. Here are the gymnasts.
It's time for the women's floor final in Doha. The setting is the Aspire Dome, where the World Championship took place in 2018. And these are the 8 that have made it through. And one of them already establishing herself as a star in front of the Doha crowd.
And these are the 8 finalists. From Australia, Brianna Scott.
Brianna Scott of Australia will get us underway. Commonwealth Games medalist. Ruby Stacey of Great Britain will be the next to go. Australia's Ruby Pass, followed by Dildora Aripova of Uzbekistan, South Central Asian champion. Nazanin Teymurova of Azerbaijan, second competition international level for her. Hatakeda Chiaki of Japan. Elina Gravin of Sweden, senior international debut for her. And also for her, Sabrina Maneka Voinia, who's already won the balance beam title. The reserve gymnast, Natalie Westlund of Sweden. And she also won a medal, the 17-year-old Swede, yesterday in the uneven bars competition. So the warm-up for the first 4 in this women's floor final.
The final event of the women's competition, the 4th and final apparatus.
The finalists in the women's floor competition. The top performer in qualification, the last to go, Sabrina Maneka Voinia of Romania. Second strongest was Dildora Aripova, and she will go at the end of the first half of the final. But Maneka Voinia had 4/10 over Aripova in terms of qualification score, the only 13 plus score that we saw in the preliminary round.
Floor exercise, the athletes get 30 seconds each, which means that we have a warm-up time of 2 minutes.
The warm-up period is over and we begin this women's floor final.
And this is the end of the warm-up. We start in Australia. Here's the exercise of Brianna Scott.
Australia's Brianna Scott begins this women's floor final. 21-year-old. Medalist at the Oceania Championships and the Commonwealth Games. 8th strongest in qualification. A really nice opening to the floor final, courtesy of Australia's Brianna Scott. Just her second overseas World Cup after her meeting in Melbourne in 2020. And it's a return to Doha, where she competed before.
She won 4 apparatus medals, including a gold medal on balance beam and the championships of her continent Oceania in 2022.
Nice composed double layout work. On the whole, a confident performance from Brianna Scott. She scored 12.233 in qualification.
We wait for the score of Brianna Scott from Australia.
Landings really on song. This, one imagines, will do a lot better than it did in qualification because the landings were really much more precise.
And there comes the score of
12.8 for Brianna Scott. That is over half a mark better than qualification. She's actually found 2/10 of difficulty as well. Now to Ruby Stacey of Great Britain.
And now Great Britain.
Gymnast who turns 18 in less than a week.
Ruby Stacey.
4th best in qualification, 12.366, but we've just seen everything shaken up by that score from Brianna Scott. Small issue with the last tumbling pass from Great Britain's Ruby Stacey, who was a top 15 performer in all-around competition at the World Championships in Japan in 2021. And she's just had a very good English Championships, winning the all-around silver medal.
In Slovenia last year, not on floor, but on uneven bars. Let's wait for that second score of the floor final.
In the moment where the red flag is raised. Looking to improve upon the 12.366 she produced in qualification. .233 for Ruby Stacey.
There's the score, 12.233.
She's down by just over a tenth from the preliminary round.
And here is Australia again.
Now, Ruby Pass of Australia, a senior international debut for the 15-year-old from Fig Tree in the Wollongong, New South Wales suburbs. She's the reigning Australian junior all-around champion. Sixth in qualification with 12.266. Huge congratulations to Australia's Ruby Pass on her senior international debut, and she's done so well to make it into this floor final.
I'll tell you more, this is her very first World Cup, her very first major senior event, and she qualified.
The gymnast from Fig Tree, as I mentioned earlier,
wonderful job,
named after, as you would expect, a giant fig tree that stood on the eastern side of the highway in the 1820s. In what is now the suburbs of Wollongong. She has competed internationally as a junior in events like Gymnix in Canada and the DTB Pokal Team Challenge in Germany.
I think she was born in
first senior international competition.
Ruby Pass. Let's wait for her score. see the score very soon now. Here it comes.
For Ruby Pass, 12.433. So not only has she made her first final here, she's improved upon her qualification performance, and one can ask for a little more than that. It's very impressive. Dildora Aripova of Uzbekistan, the second strongest in qualification, and she posted the third highest difficulty.
Here's the exercise of Dildora Aripova.
She has won 2 World Cup medals on floor in the past 12 months. It is never a surprise when Dildora Aripova comes to a World Cup competition and is a contender on floor. 12.866 in qualification, though that performance at the start by Brianna Scott has put the cat among the pigeons.
Gymnasts, you can warm up.
She actually made the vault and balance beam finals last weekend in Cottbus. Won a gold medal in her World Cup debut. That was in Bulgaria last year. No, in 2021, I should say. She did very well to stabilise that landing. Came out very low into almost a squat position and stood it up fast. Very powerful. Good strength shown. It's a quite remarkable save, that, especially when you see it from that angle. But there's some complexity to her tumbling work. .566 for Dildora Aripova of Uzbekistan. She's down by 3/10 from qualification, but is in the silver medal position at the halfway mark.
Great score for Dildora.
Ahead of Ruby Pass and behind her teammate Brianna Scott. Last to go will be the gymnast we've just seen there, Sabrina Maneka-Voina, who had the highest score in qualification and also the most complex routine. Natalina Temurova of Azerbaijan, 15-year-old who's in her first senior international final, having made her senior international debut in Cottbus last week. 5th best in qualification, 12.266. It really is lovely to see a gymnast come into their first senior international final and deliver a confident and exuberant performance.
This is the very first time that we see her.
Product of the Ochak Sports Club in Baku, where there are hundreds of gymnasts, and they spend a lot of time training at the National Gymnastics Arena, which will be used for next week's World Cup.
This is her very first World Cup final.
Somewhat of a lack of symmetry in that tumbling pass, in the tuck position. A demonstration of sound agility in the leaps. Gymnast who competed at the Junior European Championships in Munich, where she made the vault final. Quick reflexes on that landing.
We will get the score very soon. As soon as we get a close-up shot of the kiss and cry zone on the big screen, which is now, and there is the score.
Nazanin Temurova with a score of 12.066, down by just 2/10 from qualification. Very credible first international final for her at senior level.
Followed by Arnikova and then Ruby Boss from Australia.
3 to go.
And now
Takeda Chiaki of Japan, third best in qualification, absolutely has the potential to win this. She has been a national medalist on floor. That's a powerful performance from Takeda Chiaki of Japan. Now her overall performance was very sharp, very precise, but at the heart of it actually was some very beefy, big tumbling.
she's 18, born
and it's easy to overlook it when it's performed with a sense of fluidity, but there's what one might call deceptive difficulty in this display. She's a very composed young athlete, and sometimes when people are very composed on floor, you run the risk of not spotting how much they're doing in the tumbling passes, especially when it is all rather linked together nicely.
Brianna Scott still in the lead.
As I mentioned earlier, she has been a medalist on floor at the National Championships. 12.766 in qualification for Hatakeda. 12.8 is the current leading score. And it has changed. Hatakeda Chiaki goes into the lead, the most difficult routine that we've seen so far. And Hatakeda is guaranteed a World Cup medal because only 2 are left. To Elina Gravin, 16-year-old in her senior international debut, 7th best in qualification. Huge congratulations to Sweden's Elina Gravin on her senior international debut. But she has been the junior national champion on floor, along with the uneven bars and all-around competition, and she's the reigning junior Nordic uneven bars champion. So a very good pedigree coming into this, her first senior season. Young athlete based in Stockholm, and she gets decent height, moving into a pretty tight pike position. A well-controlled landing too. Her difficulty in qualification, 4.2, but it was the best executed routine of any of the qualifying finalists, and that's a real triumph. She's done terrifically to make this final.
What about Brianna Scott and Doha Aripova? It all depends on the score of Elina Gravin and the final exercise of a Romanian athlete.
Elina Gravin, the penultimate score to come in. We've got the top qualifier left to perform. And at the moment, 12.566 holds bronze. That's still Dora Aripova. Above her Brianna Scott, and above her Hatakeda Chiaki.
If Brianna Scott would win a medal here, it would be her very first World Cup medal. First World Cup medal in her career.
12.233 for Elina Gravin, exactly as she performed in qualification. She's up a 10th of difficulty, down a 10th in execution, but a job well done.
Is medal winner number 2.
Now to the final performer, Sabrina Maneka-Voinia of Romania, the top qualifier and already the beam champion today. She won a bronze on floor at the Junior European Championships in Munich. 13.266 in the preliminary round. If she gets that here, she wins. What an absolutely outrageous debut from Sabrina Maneka-Voinea of Romania. It is so easy to see why people have been excited about her for years and waiting for that senior debut since clips of her in junior competition first started circulating among gymnastics fans. She tumbles so well. There's a sharpness to everything she does, a sense of finesse and flair, and also a confidence, a real confidence. What a joy to watch. And it's another of those routines, much like Hatakeda Chiaki's, where you are so busy enjoying it that you have to just remind yourself it's really difficult. What nice form in the layout position, arched back. Really paying attention to the core aesthetics of gymnastics execution. Little loss of stability coming out of the pirouette. She rotates around a good few times. The twisting is powerful and well judged. Minimal adjustment, one pace backwards. Really is very good. Where will she feature? Hatakeda leads at the moment on 12.9. Then Scott, then Aripova. One suspects we'll see a change of some description to the leaderboard.
On-floor exercise.
A reminder, 13.266 in qualification for the young Romanian. The second youngest athlete in this final after Nazanin Temurova. And she has won it yet again by some margin. 13.6 for Sabrina Maneka-Voinea. And that is a double gold Sunday on her senior international debut. Goodness me, that is as good as it gets. What a start to her senior international career.
And we are ready for yet another final, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the judges on men's horizontal bar.
The classified results in the women's floor competition. A brilliant moment for Brianna Scott of Australia, her first World Cup honours. Hatakeda Chiaki of Japan also accomplishing that with this silver medal. And Sabrina Maneka-Voinea of Romania winning 2 titles in a row. Fantastic day for her. And that leads us to the last event of this weekend, the men's horizontal bar final. The victory ceremony in the women's floor competition at the Doha World Cup of Artistic Gymnastics. Congratulations to Brianna Scott of Australia, the 21-year-old, on a World Cup podium for the first time, to add to her collection of Continental Championship medals and Commonwealth Games awards.
Silver medalists from Japan,
Takeda Chiaki from Japan wins her first ever World Cup medal. Fine accomplishment for a gymnast from a fine family.
And first place and gold medalists from Romania.
But this has been a quite sensational weekend for Sabrina Maneka-Voinea of Romania. Double gold today, and we'll hear the national anthem of Romania.
Stand up for the national anthem of Romania. What a great podium. Time for a picture with Mrs. Abir Al-Wanim, Secretary General of the Qatar Gymnastics Federation, Mrs. Nehat Zayed, Vice President of the Technical Committee Women's Artistic Gymnastics at the International Gymnastics Federation, and Mr. Adi Al-Hitmi, President of the Qatar Gymnastics Federation and Vice President of the International Gymnastics Federation.
The medalists in the women's floor exercise at the Doha World Cup.
With these three champions. And first medal for the Australian gymnasts.